Welcome to another episode of Question It, where a life question is posed and we share our perspectives. I'm Kevin Strauss, the host of Question It and founder of Uchi, a private social app built around one belief that everything feels possible when you know someone has your back every day. Today's guest is Thom Van Dycke. I think Thom is my first Canadian guest and like my fifth country. So that's pretty exciting in like 10 episodes. So, Thom, if you can give yourself a little introduction and tell the audience a little bit about you.
For sure. Thanks for having me, Kevin. It's been a long time since we've chatted, and I've always enjoyed our conversation. So this was, I was excited for this when I saw it on my calendar today. But like you said, I'm Canadian. I live right in the center of Canada in the province of Manitoba. So it's just north of North Dakota and Minnesota. Grew up on a farm, grew up in a Christian home, and became a pastor. For 20 years, I was a pastor, and then I left that in 2020 and started my own business, and I really haven't looked back. And I love relevant conversations, depth conversations. We live a very busy life. We've got 7 kids. Uh, 2 of them are biological, 4 of them are adopted, and one of them we will eventually adopt, hopefully one day. And you might not know this, I have a grandson now. So
Wow.
I'm a grandpa.
You are too young to be a grandpa.
I know. How awesome is this? What a great life I get to live. Anyways, that's a little bit about me.
That is great. Thank you so much for sharing. And I mean, we could have, an hour conversation easily just on that right there.
Yep.
And we have talked about it before, the whole pastor to out of pastor and all that kind of stuff. Um, Great. Okay, well, let's just dig right into it. So before we started recording, Thom randomly picked a question off my sheet. And today's question that we'll both be answering is, what is something that frustrates you and maybe more than it should? So I'm going to give Thom the floor for as long as he needs.
So this is a great question. It didn't take me very long to think of the answer. And I actually have 3 answers, 3 kind of connected answers. I think you could probably boil it down to hypocrisy. Um, Saying one thing, living another way drives me crazy. And so there's, sort of external to me. I'll start there, which is maybe not fair, but I come from a faith background, kind of got put through the ringer when I left ministry. I was part of a very, very large church, 4,500 people, 80 staff. It was really big, and it had been my whole life for a very long time. And so when that ended, it was during COVID, so right at the beginning of COVID. So I mean, there was that going on, but that wasn't the reason the church split, and that wasn't, really in my mind. It was just a lot of people who said they loved Jesus and loved people and didn't act like it. And when I see that in the news, because there's all sorts of expressions of that now, it's much more public in America than it is in Canada. Canada is much more we're much more European, kind of in our worldview and our faith perspective and that kind of thing. But I just look at these things and I go, the Bible literally explicitly says to welcome the foreigner, and you're booting the foreigners out. And it's being championed by people who are in a pulpit. And I can't figure it out. I just can't figure it out. And it drives me crazy. And there is lots of stuff like that. We talk about God giving us free will, and then we don't allow people to have free will. We say, no, you have to look exactly like us, talk like us, or otherwise you're on the outs. And it just drives me nuts. It shuts down all meaningful conversation before it even starts. So that's external to me. Now, the reason I think it bothers me more than it should is because if I allow that to bother me, it puts the locus of control outside of me, external, and it allows other people to dictate how I feel and respond to the world. And I don't like that. I need to own what is given me, what I actually have control over. And I can try and influence people, but at the end of the day, the reality is I'm responsible for my heart, my person, and I'm not responsible for the way that other people act, even if it drives me crazy. So that's the first thing. Internal, though, I don't like it when I'm a hypocrite. Specifically, it drives me crazy when, for example, so we're a foster family. Our church had a lot of foster families. We had 110 foster families, and I was the most senior staff member with foster kids. So I was the de facto support for the rest of the foster families in our church. And as a result, I got trained in some great interventions. I took some courses, and they really work very, very well. And because of that, I was able to train literally, I've tried to count, but it's been thousands of parents. I've trained all the social workers in our agency. I've trained all of the guidance counselors in our school division. And I should know how to handle a troubled kid. And yet when they're in my house, I just lose my mind. Like, it's just like, and it drives me crazy because people are still asking me, so can you do some training for us? Can you do some trauma-informed training for us? And I'll go like, well, I can, but I don't even feel like I should anymore because I've lived too much life since then. And we have some challenging, kids in our home. And I mean, I'm not going to get into the specifics, but it's really hard some days. It's really, really hard. So I feel like, good night, I should have this thing figured out. And the reason I should probably let go of that a little bit is that I think that it's unfair to myself. It's when you're a teacher and you teach a group of people, you always speak in ideals. You don't speak in realities necessarily. You speak in an ideal reality. And when you enter into real world, like, it's kind of like all bets are off, It's kind of like, would you learn how to ride a horse in a classroom? Well, no, because when you get on a horse, that thing has its own personality and mind, and it's a whole different ballgame. It's a little like that. Parenting is just different for every kid, for every family. So I should be more gracious to myself. And I think we have done a lot of things right, but I'm very hard on myself, particularly as a dad. And then the last thing would be hypocrisy in business. Drives me nuts. Absolutely batty. People who say they've got a proven process and a formula for success, and I just think it's a bunch of bullshit. You cannot possibly tell me that you have the formula for success when every single business is as unique as the group of unique individuals that run it. Two solopreneurs are not the same. You create a team and you put half a dozen unique individuals together, and you think that you can come into that team and say, this is exactly what you should do because this is what worked before. Nonsense. So this whole, like, maybe it's a little bit of the certainty and lack of sort of reality, that drives me crazy across the board, whether it's faith or business or myself. It's sort of this hypocrisy. It's a detachment from the real world. Those are my three answers.
I love it. Hypocrisy, that is such a big word, and it is so prevalent today in the world, definitely in the US. I mean, it's out of control in the US. And you see it, you're like the little, bystander who's like watching it close up, being right next door to us. Why do you think, or can you go deeper or dig in a little more? Like, why do you think hypocrisy really ruffles your feathers so much? What is it about it that is out of alignment for you?
I think it comes down to, yeah, no, it's a great question. I think it comes down to my sense of justice.
Mm.
And when something happens to me, I've got a lot of patience for that. I can experience a lot of injustice, and I haven't experienced a lot of injustice, like some of the, the systemic injustices
Or
that
the
exist.
gross injustices in the world.
Right. Yeah, that I haven't experienced those gross ones, but when they happen to other people, especially people that are close to me that I love the deepest, to me that is, I mean, that's just, it's so infuriating to see that happen. So I think there's a part of it that there's this sense of injustice. Hypocrisy is like, is an outworking of injustice. There's a Catholic philosopher, like his name is Dietrich von Hildebrand, and he said that a lie, paraphrasing, a lie does violence to reality. I love that definition.
Gosh, you have to like sit
Deception,
with that stuff for a second.
right?
A
When you are
lie.
deceptive, you are doing violence to reality. I feel like hypocrisy does violence to the truth.
Violence to the truth. You know, and another thing that I'm wondering about, I could be completely off base here, but with your background and indoctrination into religion and everything, and then stepping away from that after decades. First, you had decades of your own life as you know, Thom growing up, but then decades as a professional in that industry. Um, I wonder if there's a sense of like betrayal from the institution to in terms of truth as well. Because I think there's, I mean, this is my personal belief, there's so much that's just not true about the whole God and religion concept. It's just completely factually not true, but people believe it is, and they act like it is, or they try to, and all of that hypocrisy there. And it's like the institution betrayed you, and that just, it hurts. It
Mhm.
hurts.
You know, I think that's a really good way of putting it. We we had an easy out during COVID because not only were churches not meeting in person, but one of our daughters is immune compromised, so we could not go to, and we lived under all COVID restrictions for a year and a half past everyone else. So just to keep her safe. Now, so that was really nice because when a pastor stops going to church, the assumption is they have for sure abandoned their faith. And the funny thing is, I haven't. And I'll tell people, I love Jesus as much as I ever have, probably more actually. It's the institutional church that I have lost all faith in. Not all faith, maybe some of it's coming a little bit back now, a little bit, but in a very, very different way than it was. So I think there was a sense of betrayal. Um, and it wasn't categorical betrayal. It wasn't like religion let me down. It was like specific leaders let me down. It was like
Okay.
the organization that I gave my heart and life to let me down,
That's what
you
I'm
know?
that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but I don't
that
feel like God let me down.
okay. Yeah.
In fact, I really do feel, and by the way, I'm very open-handed about these things because I'm far more interested in truth than I am about God. Far more interested. My pursuit of truth has led me to God, and I've always been that way.
Mhm.
Um, but I can have a deep respect for the parts of Christianity that are good, and a very, very healthy sort of detachment from the things that are historically awful and
Mhm.
the abuses that came out of it.
Mhm.
I have no problem living within that tension because I think that when we look at how Jesus actually lived, the way he loved people, the way he invited a lot of, and we can discuss whether it's historical or mythical. I really don't care. I think there's
Either way could
beautiful
be a good example.
there are beautiful truths in
Yeah.
the way that he lived. And um and so I'm able to sort of not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Mhm.
um, but you're right, there is a sense of betrayal, for
Mhm.
sure. There is. The institution, I think,
Yeah,
just
institute
isn't
or the
set up.
people, and thank you for clarifying that. Not that God let you down,
Yeah,
but the way it's being, the way his message, her message is being delivered or practiced or implemented, or you know, anything
right.
like that. And the people who are taking that leadership, or even just the everyday person, um, and not living true to it, and then that's where the hypocrisy comes in, not living
Yeah.
true to the ideas of that message. which is
Right.
really just love, honestly. I mean, it's really,
It is just love.
and
It
that's
is
every
just love.
religion, by the way. So anyway,
Agreed.
um,
I absolutely agree with you.
you know, it's
You know,
it's really
I
simple. So why do we even need religion, to be honest? But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. I won't go
that's
there right
question
now.
171.
Yeah, right. That's
I did
yeah,
not
that's the
choose that
next
one.
question. Right. Wow, there's so much here. Okay, so I have to touch on it because so then it's your own hypocrisy. Oh, because I love it. I wrote down helping others, but then struggling to help yourself, or helping other families, but then why struggle with your own? Like if I'm guiding these people, why can't I guide myself and my family? What do you
Right.
think that's about? Why I mean, I don't think you're alone in that. I have the same problem. Why do you think that is? Or why might that be?
There's something unique about dealing with, especially in the case of foster kids, where you're dealing with layers of trauma, and not just one generation of trauma, but potentially multiple layers of trauma. So we had normal challenges as parents with our birth children. You have kids who have ADHD, you have kids with all sorts of.
And did you have the biological kids first and then got
Yeah,
more kids? Okay, so
yeah,
you had 2 biologics before you
yeah,
started, fostering and adopting.
correct. And
It's a
so
nice foundation.
yeah, and it was in a way it was kind of easy, right? It was normal life. Now it felt hard, but it wasn't hard like this. And but so then you have a lot of control actually. In a healthy relationship, there's an authoritarian relationship, not a no, pardon me, not authoritarian, authoritative relationship. The authoritative parent has a healthy balance of nurture and structure. A child knows they can leave, they know where the boundary is, and then when they push the boundary, they know that they can still return home to the safe nest. So there's structure, these are the boundaries, and then there's nurture when you come home. And when you can always return to me. But there's still a degree of control. What do you do when there is a kid who cannot receive nurture because they have attachment disorders? Or what do you do when they are detached from reality in the sense that they can't recognize boundaries? They don't have that. They don't have the capacity. But they look like your birth child. They look like your birth child. They talk like your birth child. They Everything about them seems just like a kid in the family, but they're not because they have layers of trauma.
Yeah.
And so there's a massive element, a shadow that is out of our control hanging over kids from hard places,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so it feels like I should be able to deal with this, especially because I remember strategies I've given other parents that worked for them with their
Yeah.
kids,
Like,
from
what
hard
would you tell
places.
another parent?
But when you're the one who's tired and you're the one who's being woken up or being called by the school or having
Yeah.
your ever loving gluten-free golden Oreo stolen, like, get out of here.
It's a whole different story when it's directly applied to you.
It is. It feels personal. Even if it's not, even if I detach myself and I go objectively, this is a lot of trauma. There's a lot of other stuff going on. It still feels personal. And so talking to you here, I can be objective about it. But if this evening goes
Well,
a certain way,
here in this
exactly,
conversation, your frontal lobe is engaged,
100%.
but at home and it's 9 o'clock at night and they got to go to bed or brush their teeth or whatever it is, and your amygdala gets triggered,
Correct.
then this is offline and it's all just, midbrain and good
Yep.
luck. You
Right.
know?
So and I'm hard on myself because I'm
Yeah.
literally perceived as the expert, which is
Yeah.
a joke to me, anyways. I don't let that go to my head, but there is that perception. It's like, you know,
I should
there's
be able to do this,
I
but
should be able to.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and it is hard to give ourselves grace Why is that hard? Honestly, I think it falls back on things like, well, if I need grace or if I need a little bit of help, then I'm weak and I'm not
Right.
good enough. And if I'm weak, then I don't have value. And if I don't have value, then I'm not loved. And I didn't always get the love I needed when I was a kid. Boom, trigger. And
Yeah.
now our amygdala is hijacked and our frontal lobe is offline and everything goes out the window.
I think you're right. And I just have learned that life is a lot more gray than I allowed myself to believe in the past, and it's a
Mm.
lot messier.
I mean, that's a nice. Does that help give
Yeah,
any
it
grace?
does. It really
Knowing that
does.
things are more gray than black and white?
Yeah, it really does. We're very interested in the formula. We really are. Give me the
Which
formula for
formula?
life.
Oh, formula
Any
for anything.
formula. Any
Yeah,
formula.
give
The
me a
parenting
formula, I can
formula.
apply it, bing, bang, boom, plug in the
Yeah.
variables, we're good.
The weight loss formula, the health formula, the
The business
relationship formula,
formula,
the
yeah.
business formula,
Mhm.
anything for a shortcut.
The
And
enlightenment
that's
formula,
yeah,
spiritual enlightenment, let's say.
yeah. And I think that's the way we've evolved. I really do. I think
Yeah,
that it's partly survival. We take the shortest path of resistance.
yeah.
We we look for that, and it's just not real life. It just simply is not. So we
What's
need to
real
be.
life then?
It's a good question.
Is that the
It's probably
gray
messy.
or see, and messy's kind of a trigger word for me,
Mm,
which I won't go into right now. I could weave it into my answer. Um, I don't think things are as messy as we think they are.
huh.
I think messy is like a catchword for when we don't actually understand the real problem. And when we do
Interesting.
understand the real problem, then things are quite clear. They're not messy. I'm not saying they're straight up black and white. However, there could be lots of different dots of black for answers, and maybe it is black and white, but you can choose from a lot of different dots of black and just follow that path. And any one of those dots will get you there, but it's really not messy. It's not so gray. I don't know. I'm not saying this is it.
Yeah.
This is just how I'm working through the whole messiness
Well,
from my world.
my uncle, who's had a tremendous impact on my spiritual worldview, has for years, back when I was very black and white and always annoyed or pissed off at him because he was challenging it, all the way through to today, where I really, really appreciate the depth that he's brought to my life. When I was leaving ministry and everything was topsy turvy, and it was you know, there was a lot of hard work in belief and figuring out what is mine, what is others. And he said, "How are you doing?" one day. And I said, "I honestly feel like I could fall over at any moment. Like I'm dizzy, like I'm destabilized, like I
Hanging by
don't
a
know which
thread.
way is up." Right? And he leaned in and he had a sparkle in his eye and he says, "Isn't it wonderful? Just enjoy it, Thom." And I went, "Yeah, this doesn't need to be. I'm not on a tilt-a-whirl where I can't get off and pause and take stock. Why can't I enjoy this feeling of making it an adventure as opposed to this nauseous thing, you know?"
Yeah, just
That
flipping the perspective a little bit
yeah,
can really change the whole outlook.
right. It was like permission. You
Yeah.
get scared because no matter what you're going through, you always feel like you're the only one, and, um,
Yeah.
that's just normal. You just
Yeah,
do,
of course.
and you're not. You're
No,
never
no,
the only one,
it's
and
very
to
rare,
be given
especially
permission
with
to
8 billion
enjoy.
people.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
And to be given permission to enjoy the ride, beautiful.
yeah.
I really appreciate that.
Enjoy it, embrace it, revel in it, like, look at it with wonder instead of
Yes.
fear and like, "Oh my god," like, the world's gonna crumble and disintegrate. I tried doing that with my dad recently, because I helped my parents get to California on a for a family event and everything. And getting, he's 89 years old in a wheelchair. He needs help on and off the plane, all that kind of stuff. And then things got all turned around with our flight logistics coming home. And my dad doesn't like any of that. He wants everything controlled and, in the box always, and we were having dinner. We had some time. We could actually have a sit down dinner in the airport. And I'm like, what if we just treated this like an adventure instead of having everything lined up? What if we just took this as like a little adventure? We get to hang out in the airport a little bit longer. We don't have to rush from one gate to the next to get the next flight, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if he fully like grabbed onto the idea, but it did give him I'm going to ask him. I do think it gave him just enough of a little pause to be like, oh, there is another way that it could be viewed.
Right.
And there's a zillion different ways it could be viewed, but I was just offering one. And that's what your uncle, was it, gave to you, which is pretty cool.
It is. It's wonderful to have people who give permission in our lives. It's really wonderful.
What about giving permission to yourself?
Well, yes.
Does that
we got that too.
Have you ever done that, like consciously, like in some circumstance? Okay, yeah.
You know what?
Not that this is therapy, because this isn't therapy.
No, you know what? I think when you and you'll know this, but when you come from an evangelical world where there's a lot of fear-based theology, and a lot of performative theology, and certain things are forbidden, right? Like it's there; those are lines you don't cross.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about it. Catholic there's a Catholic sort of guilt complex, right? Where, you got to go to the priest to get right with God again. And,
right.
And these things, but it really is hard to forgive yourself for some of the things then that you feel were really bad that you've done. And I've given myself so much grace to be a young adult, not to let that bury me anymore. When I make mistakes now, I really can, when I legitimately do something that I go, I just wish I hadn't done that. I can actually move past it now far better than I ever used to. I would say the parenting one is harder, honestly.
Okay. Yeah.
It's probably one of the hardest things.
Because then it's affecting another person too.
Yeah.
It's not just you and your stuff.
Right.
It's whatever you're doing now. How does that play out on somebody else?
Exactly.
That's a big responsibility.
It is.
So I get that. I mean, I'm not a parent, so I can't speak from that. Although I've had dogs, but that's really not the same.
I have a dog I can't stand, so.
Oh gosh, no.
Actually, I love her. And then she's on my floor.
Oh yeah. Probably for a reason.
Oh, give me a break. Yeah, because she has to go to the bathroom, and she looks at me and she's disrespectful.
She's upset. Anyway, that's all.
Anyway, Kevin, you better share your answers.
I know we've been chatting. I mean, but then, okay, give me one more little bit summary about the hypocrisy with the business. Like, where does that frustrate you the most, or what grates on you the most around the hypocrisy in business?
Well, I get mad because I feel like I'm grounded to reality and people don't want to buy that.
This is real. This is
right.
This is the formula.
Right. Because I refuse to go there. I refuse to the one size fits all, the proven process, the formula, because I go, not how it works. And then I get ripping mad when all these people flock to these influencers, and they have this one-dimensional view of business.
Because it's flashy and pretty and exciting. But the reality is, and I've made videos on this, the reality is shit takes practice and it takes work. And there's no quick fix to, like, I think one of the formulas is, maybe it's the only formula, there is no quick fix.
Right. Principles, there are business principles that we all need. You need to charge for your services. You need to have marketing. You need to put, like, people need to know who you are. There's
Yeah,
things
that's
that
a good
there are
one.
principles. There are principles for business that are true.
Hmm.
It's when we take a principle and we say this is a proven practice or a proven formula, that's where it becomes wrong. And so I think that the business consultants of tomorrow, my hope is, legitimately my hope is, maybe this is me manifesting it, um, is that the consultants and coaches of tomorrow will be the ones who help businesses who are grounded in reality and are in it for the long haul, don't want a flash in the pan, to navigate the complexity of the business landscape, because it's very complex.
Well, there's a
And when you're
lot
in,
of pieces. I mean, there's a
yeah,
lot of pieces.
and when you're in it, it's like very overwhelming, and plus you have a business to run and all those things. So to have an outside perspective come in and be able to just sit with you and help you sort out and find your way through, that is, I hope, where we're going to get. But these bro marketers who promise the moon, they just drive me nuts.
But I would never buy any of that stuff, but people buy that stuff all the time.
I know.
And they spend like, and I'm not talking about hundreds of dollars, they spend like tens of thousands of dollars on these. How do these people make these promises that customers believe, don't deliver on? And like, I don't get that at all. But I agree with the hypocrisy. I mean, I just happen to agree with that. Yeah, hypocrisy is, man, that does grate the
It
nerve.
hurts humanity. It hurts humanity. I've always
Well,
appreciated you,
that's like
Kevin.
dishonesty hurts humanity.
Right. See, I've always
Yeah,
appreciated you, Kevin, because we are worldviews apart in terms of, say, metaphysical things, right?
this is true.
Right? And that's fair. But you live with I don't know how you define yourself, maybe an atheist, as an atheist with integrity or an
Oh,
agnostic
integrity
with.
is like one of my highest values as a person.
I love that
Like
about you.
that's
It's
like my
why.
top, top, top.
And see, that's why we can have a conversation and a relationship and hold different views.
Oh yeah, we have totally different views. And
And it's
I am
fine.
100% atheist. I don't even believe in the concept of like a god or gods or religion or any of that. And that happened, the episode that just released this week on Tuesday, today's Thursday. Um, it was about beliefs and values, and the guest shared, he's like, I totally believe in God. And we had a wonderful conversation. I actually really enjoyed that one. But yeah, we have very different views. But yeah, I'm not going to go kill him because we we disagree on this.
No.
And he's hopefully not going to kill me. He's not going to kill me.
Well, the thing is, none of us has the market cornered on truth.
Yeah, it's
Nobody.
just, it,
The atheists don't, the Christians don't, the Muslims don't, the New Agers don't, the manifestators,
oh yeah, you can just go right
manifestators.
down the whole list.
No
Um,
one has the market cornered on truth.
yeah, well, I think the atheists do. But anyway, uh,
It doesn't matter to me though,
it
because you'll
you know
meet
what?
Jesus one
The
day and
thing
he'll
about
let you
it,
come in.
yeah, I'm sorry, say again.
I said you'll meet Jesus one day and he'll let you in. It's okay.
That's fine. You knock on the door. That's probably the one door knocker I will. That's actually not true, because any transgender person who knocks on my door, they can come in, or
Yeah,
that's fine. But transgender people never go door knocking, but the evangelicals do, and the Mormons do. And why?
they do.
Anyway, don't get me started. This is doing the whole religion thing. Okay, we will move on so that we don't go too far down that path. Um, but we could come back to the messy word that you touched on before, because that was a great one. So I guess it's my turn. I'm just going to repeat the question, um, just so that it's fresh in our minds. So what is something that frustrates you, and maybe more than it should? Oh my gosh, this will be like a whole lot to unpack. Um, but where the whole more than it should part. Um, so where this landed for me is on wellness and the wellness industry. And it's really funny, sort of the hypocrisy of wellness. I wasn't thinking the hypocrisy word, but that was like your whole thing. But the whole wellness, I've been in the like wellness, health, wellness, like my entire adult life, just personally, right? Not professionally, but personally. And um, wellness is pretty big now, and it's still just a catastrophic failure. And what drives me crazy, and this kind of goes back to the integrity thing and the hypocrisy thing as well, is people who talk about wellness and they're really only talking about fitness, or they're only talking about nutrition, or maybe they're talking about fitness and nutrition, and that's their entire wellness. And that drives me nuts because wellness is so much more than just your physical health. So anybody who's talking about wellness, if they're not talking about the entire envelope of wellness, they're not talking about wellness. And that drives me crazy. That really frustrates me. And it's sort of like, this is the, cry, pay attention to me and what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is right. Right? I'm the only one who's doing it right. Come on now, Kevin. Right? But at least what I feel like when I'm talking about wellness, I'm not even just talking about mind, body, spirit, because that's not wellness. It's mind, body, heart, and spirit. If you don't have the heart element, you do not have wellness. So when we talk about mind, body, spirit, that's your mental, your physical, and your spiritual. But everyone's always dropping the emotional. And if we say, oh, well, emotional is part of mental, well, how's that working out for us? It's not. So I get really frustrated with how people are using words and how inaccurately people are using words and how nebulously and ambiguously people are using words. And it's just all inaccurate, and that drives me crazy, probably more than it should. And wow, okay, so why does it bother me more than it should? Well, because I'm still up. Okay, this is like off the cuff, but from all the work that I've done, it's probably because I still so often gravitate toward the I'm right, you're wrong mentality. And if I'm wrong, then I'm bad. And if I'm bad, I don't have value. And if I don't have value, then I'm not loved. And we did this for you a minute ago. And if I'm not loved, well, love is a basic need, just like air and water and food and sleep and shelter and peeing and pooping. It is a basic need. And without love, we feel pain. And a human will do anything to ease their pain. And in the absence of knowing how to love, and I'm not talking romantic love because that's like less than 1% of love. I'm talking about like love for your family, your friends, your community, your neighbors, your fellow human being, whatever color, religion, nationality, education, whatever. We're Homo sapiens. That's the love I'm talking about. And when we don't feel that love, it causes pain, and we'll do anything to ease our pain. And that's where behaviors come from, because we're just trying to ease our pain. So why is it affect me more than it should? Because I'm still operating from this false belief that I have to be right or I'm not good and I'm not loved. So that's probably why it bothers me more than it should. But then I'll take it a step further, why it also bothers me not more than it should, because when we don't have this full wellness model, which for me is physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, in that order, by the way, they all interrelate, but that order is an order of importance and prioritization. Shoot, I lost my train of thought. If we don't have that full spectrum of wellness, then we're hurting in some way. and I never want to see anyone hurt or in pain in any way at all, ever. So then it bothers me as much as it should. It should bother me, I think, because I don't want to see anyone in pain ever because you have blue eyes or because you have black skin or because you believe in God. I don't want anyone to have pain for any reason. Um, and so that's why wellness is so important to me, because the more well and healthy we are, the happier we are, the better we feel, the better everyone feels. And then there's that whole the rising tide lifts all the boats. Well, we all do better when we're all well. So that's kind of where um, the frustration on the wellness industry, on how inaccurately it's done, how poorly it's done, and um, and why it bothers me more than it should, because I think the model that I'm offering really can help the most people.
Oh my goodness, there's a lot there. We're gonna have to book round 2.
Can do round 2.
I think it's very interesting that what you said about you don't want anybody to be in any pain ever.
Ever.
Because now part of this is background speaking, maybe. I have to think about this maybe later, but isn't part of the human experience pain?
We're going to experience pain because pain is our greatest signal that our survival is being threatened. So we're going to experience pain. But I want the least amount of pain possible.
Okay. Yeah. What happens when you legitimately cannot solve the issue of pain for someone? So they've got a debilitating, painful disease or sickness, or their family was we had a family, we have large immigrant families where we live here. A couple of years ago, a family of, I think they had 12 kids, mom and dad both killed
Oh, Jesus.
in a car accident. And you just go,
That's
oh, like I just what do you do? Like how do you mitigate that? And then I think of like Man's Search for Meaning, which was back Viktor Frankl, who lived through, you know, the Holocaust. I just wonder if when you say stuff like that, is that like an impossible goal that you'll never ever be satisfied? And is that okay?
Oh, well, it's okay. But I got to keep trying. And what's interesting, and I love, you know, I love to keep trying. And I love the impossible goal, you know, like
Hmm.
I'm literally working on world peace. It's literally um in our vision statement for Uchi. World peace is literally in there. And it's only one sentence. So but here's what I do know based on 30, 50 years of work and living and all, is that, well, 30 years of work at least, is that the more we nurture our most basic needs, the dramatically less our pain is.
Hmm.
And there's only two kinds of pain. There's physical pain and there's emotional pain. There's no such thing as mental pain. That doesn't exist. It's emotional. It's not mental. There's a difference. And emotional, and not to get in the whole definition, but emotional health for me is all about giving and receiving love, connection, belonging. And mental health is all about your ability to focus, concentrate, think clearly, perform cognitive tasks. That's your frontal lobe. Versus like your amygdala, which is like in your midbrain where your feelings and emotions are all rooted. Um, and the brain, whether it's emotional, physical, emotional or mental going on, the brain's part of the body. The whole thing is a whole unit. So don't say like, oh well. Anyway, I don't want to get the whole wellness thing, but but I know that if we nurture, and I mean really put daily intentional effort into nurturing our 7 most basic needs, life gets like exponentially better. And the
Hmm.
thing about the wellness industry that frustrates me so much is that I think of wellness like the 4 tires on a car. So the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual tires. And the problem is that most humans in the world, they don't even have they're trying to drive their car without a tire. They don't even have an emotional health tire, or it's completely flat because they're not intentionally nurturing their relationships on a daily basis. So when I hear even things about like, raising kids and the kids with the trauma and everything, which I can't even imagine how difficult that is. I haven't done it, but I do know, even from dealing with my parents who have their own trauma from when they were little, and they were born in the late 30s, 37 and 40, that when I can intentionally nurture them emotionally, and I'm not talking about good and bad feelings and your spectrum of emotions and managing emotions, because that's emotional intelligence and that's not part of the wellness wheel. I'm talking about they feel loved, they feel valued, which equals love. And when I can validate their feelings, everything, almost like a magic wand, things get better within
Hmm.
seconds. And I've done this with lots of other people too. So if you can validate feelings and emotions so that a person feels loved and valued, behaviors change, like they can change in seconds. And that's one of the 7.
I'll tell you one thing that I really appreciate about you, Kevin, and atheists. It's that you don't have an escape hatch.
True.
See, Christians can say, "Oh, suffering's part of life, but it's okay because we're going to heaven." Or there's a philosopher I'm thinking of right now. It's okay that the children in Gaza were killed because at least they're in heaven now. And I go, Yeah, but their family isn't.
No, it's not.
So who cares?" And so there's a Hindu
And
guru.
that's
He's on
pain. That's a lot of pain for that family
100%.
and the
So
community.
have you heard of Sadhguru? He's
Sadhguru.
a Sadhguru. I don't know how to say it properly.
Oh,
Sadhguru. I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't heard of.
He's an influencer on social media, and I started following him, and I love him. And
Cool.
he said something like, "If anybody tells you that you're going to leave this earth for a better place, he has no kindness, no kind words for them." He says, "Who's to ever tell you?" He says, "Have you been there and come back? Who's to ever tell you that this isn't heaven?
Yeah, it could be.
Why? Yeah. Why are you living for somewhere out there?" And I
And
think
again,
that,
heaven's just a human construct. But anyway, go ahead.
but if it wasn't, but I agree with you, Kevin. Like, I think that Christians in particular actually avoid the pain of life because they have an escape hatch. And that
I
does,
agree with you. I do agree with that.
yeah.
And I also think that within pretty much every religion, but I don't know every religion. You probably are way more versed on every religion than I am. Um, but at least with the whole Christian world, the whole you're a sinner right there. The whole idea around the religion is you're garbage. So I'm going to make you feel like garbage, and you better do what I say so you don't feel like garbage, but you're always going to be garbage no matter what. What kind of a world is that I want to live in? So I
Ah,
don't want to
be
have
such great stuff.
it's just instant pain. I am indoctrinating you at 0 age to live in pain your whole life. So um anyway, we could have a whole nother religion or wherever that goes. Um, but it has been fun. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much for being on this podcast and this experiment. You never know where it's going to go. And today we got to our deepest frustrations. So if anyone wants to be a guest on Question It in the future and pick a random question, the link is in the show notes. And until next time, peace, love, and connect.